Welcome to Sports Ophthalmology, a podcast for ophthalmologists and trainees interested in providing eye care to athletes. I am your host, Jared Tuttle. Join me as we hear from national leaders in this exciting subfield of ophthalmology. In today's episode, we have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Gary Legault. Dr. Legault is a cornea and refractive surgeon fellowship trained at Duke Eye Center. He received his medical degree from the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences and completed ophthalmology residency at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, where he has held positions of Chief of Refractive Surgery and Ophthalmology Residency Program Director. Currently, Dr. Legault serves as the Virtual Medical Center Director for the United States Department of Defense. Dr. Legault has published numerous articles in sports ophthalmology involved with athletes of basketball, mixed martial arts, and the military. Dr. Legault is an active board member for the American Society of Ophthalmic Trauma. Dr. Legault is engaged in his local community and church and is a certified U.S. soccer referee. Dr. Legault, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Jared. Thanks for having me on the show.
So it's great to have you. Thank you for being our first guest on the show. And I wanted to ask, how did you get involved with sports ophthalmology?
Great question. So I actually grew up with my father being the team doctor of our local hockey team, the Peterborough Petes. So I spent our Thursday nights behind the bench feeling part of the team. So when I decided to become a doctor, I really liked sports all my life. And I was like, I'd love to be a sports doctor, team doctor. In medical school, I fell in love with ophthalmology. And decided I'm going to be an ophthalmologist. And then I started looking around to see about sports ophthalmology. I actually just Googled it and found Bruce Legault's book, Sports Ophthalmology. So I had to buy it. I read it, I think, 3 times. Loved learning about every sport, the different injuries, all the things that can happen with your vision, with ocular injuries. And so that kind of got me excited about it. I was fortunate to match into ophthalmology. And as I progressed through ophthalmology, I was attracted to refractive surgery and cornea. And then when I started looking at cornea programs, I got really excited when I met Dr. Kim at Duke and learned what they do with the team there. And so I was fortunate to do the fellowship at Duke. And the minute I got there, he said, Dr. Kim, I'm going to take care of every one of your athletes. I gave my phone number to every one of the athletes. Anytime they had an eye injury, they would reach out. I got to meet to all the coaches. So it was a great opportunity just to be there and support the team. And so that's how I really got started. And then after Duke, I went to El Paso, got to help a little bit with UTEP, hence the shirt here. I don't know if we're on video.
Yep.
So got to help screen the team, help with their athletes and take care of their athletes as well. So I've been very fortunate to be excited into the realm of sports ophthalmology and then just working with athletes. And I love sports. I didn't make the NBA like one of my dreams. I wanted to be Michael Jordan, but instead I still feel part of the team, getting to help out with that team and take care of their eyes.
That's wonderful. I share a similar story in that I'm interested in sports, been interested in sports for a long time, and now founding an additional passion for ophthalmology and considering how I can kind of merge those two.
It's exciting.
So
I'm glad you reached out to bring up the topic, because for a while I've kind of gone into the teleophthalmology world, telemedicine, but it's exciting to be back and talking about sports ophthalmology.
that's another exciting field. Maybe we'll have to talk about it another time.
Definitely.
What are some of the typical ways ophthalmologists are involved in the eye care of athletes?
So there's a few ways. One is to be part of the team physician, take care of their eyes. So you can offer support of where you see athletes in your clinic. Any kind of times there's an injury, they can just come in. You can do the screening eye exams, make sure their vision's doing okay. So we used to do a lot of screening with the athletes, making sure we just check for basic problems. If they need any glasses, they have refractive error, or we look for kind of glaucoma suspects, anything that we can help them with their eyes. A lot of them use contacts, so helping with, and that's often kind of mixed in with optometry, but they need help with their contacts. So the basic eye care needs to help them with that. And then really you could be part of the team. You could some go to the games. You have a kit with extra contacts and stuff to help evaluate right away. Or other time you're just on a consult standby, some kind of injury, they call you right away. You come in. Every sport has its little niche and different things. Boxing is a big one, or mixed martial arts. We're looking at over 70% of the fights that we studied during the last 20 years. You had an eye injury, right? And that's part of the game, to give yourself an advantage, to hit somebody on an eyebrow, create some bleeding, and then your opponent can't see. All right, but then there's a lot of ocular injury that can happen there. So even ophthalmologists will be at the fight, be there to help with those activities. So different ways to be a physician, or team ophthalmologist. And then other things are refractive surgery. I love refractive surgery, do a lot of refractive surgery. And so how do you get rid of their glasses or contacts to really help them and make a difference so that they can do better or perform better at their activity or sport? Those kind of the main things. So I'd say refractive surgery, being there for their needs, for eye care, and then ocular trauma, being able to manage and help them with ocular trauma.
What has been your favorite project in sports ophthalmology?
Yes. So my favorite projects have been the kind of sports screening. So we put little events on, and Duke did this every year, where you show up and it's easy to get volunteers because everybody wants to come meet the athletes. But you get your technicians. We set up a little eye lane. Basically, we go meet them because it's more convenient, depending on how you have it set up. You go meet them at their facility. You bring your portable slit lamp. You bring your devices to look at their eyes. And then you just line them up and you go through and talk to them about basic eye care needs. So the screenings have always been a lot of fun. Just reminding them to take care of their eyes, seeing if there's any eye care needs that they may need, and just being there to just show your support, and then providing your information. So if something does happen, there's trauma, ocular trauma in a lot of these sports, you can be there, bring them in, and assist them as they need. So those have been the fun times working with the team, and kind of feeling part of the team is always exciting.
I really appreciate the idea of delivering premium care to athletes, to all your patients, whether they're athletes or not, but helping those athletes get the timely care that they need, as well as the vision screening that they
Yes.
need.
No, and you treat every patient should have excellent care. You need to be extremely competent to care for them. The athletes sometimes have more demands over others, especially professional athletes. And so we find this too, and I'll put this plug in with I'm active duty in the Army. And the Army, we actually, our new acting Secretary of the Army has this little mnemonic about our service members, and it's called READY. And the A in it stands for athletes, that every soldier is an athlete. And we've done this for years with our special forces, treating them that way. They need to be ready. They have unique demands. And so we've offered refractive surgery and to improve their vision, help them so they can be excellent and see what they do, because it sometimes is a matter of life or death. Instead of just an aesthetic procedure to get rid of your glasses or contacts, it actually is combat enhancing. We're helping them potentially save their life if they can see the target better than the enemy. And so the same thing in sports, you're looking for that competitive edge. You're trying to help your team win. Whatever we can do to help your vision, help your eyes, make a difference, get you. The other big thing, the military, is we look at return to duty. How do we get you back in the fight again? We have to be able to do that. There's ocular trauma. How do we help that recover quickly? And so we study all that. And same with the athletes. A lot, you see this in sports medicine. They get an injury, but how do we get them back into the game? How do we get them to help that team safely, and making sure we're doing the right thing for our patients?
So, with refractive surgery, an athlete getting refractive surgery, what kind of rates of flap dislocation, if they're getting LASIK, or what kind of complications do you see in these athletes that are active?
Yeah, so you can the big risk. People talk about this, but LASIK. So that's the most common. There's lots of different refractive surgeries, and you got to work with your patient to see the right one. The most common one you hear about is LASIK, and you worry that there's a flap in the eye. We try to actually avoid saying the word flap. A lot of us are saying, okay, it's actually very secure. Now that we use the femtosecond laser, these lasers that create these flaps, they may be small and sit in the cornea. Well, they're so secure with the reverse bevel cut that it's very rare to have flap dislocations or trauma from the flap. From LASIK. So LASIK's become very secure. We've seen that. We've had pilots crash and then they look at it and then there's trauma of the eye, open globe, but the flap's in place, or even around grenade blast, or testing it off 10,000 feet halo jumpers. That LASIK flap is very secure. So yes, it can happen. You can have trauma to your eye to damage the flap, but very unlikely. So the big thing we push is LASIK is extremely safe in sports. Some of the mixed martial arts, we kind of push maybe PRK, which is more of a surface procedure, so you don't have the flap. But every once in a while, you will hear kind of the stories. The big one is in the 2016. It was the Cardinals Carolina Panthers playoff game, and Ron Harper. I think it's Ron Harper. It's in the news. I'm not going to give you any secure or HIPAA information about athletes, but basically had the finger poked under his mask in the championship game, and the article talks about his cornea shifting, but it was his LASIK flap. But they floated it and fixed it, and it was fine. So he was fine, and it was okay. So LASIK's very safe for sports and actually helps athletes. You see the famous ones that have had it. You've seen Tiger Woods and LeBron James. They talk about their experience. It's great to see the celebrities share that. Other refractive procedures, you can get implantable contact lenses, and the one that's been public is Max Strube's the Miami Heat, right? And so he kind of speaks for the company, but it shows he's playing in the NBA playoffs, having this procedure, shooting amazing, and it's safe and so refractive surgery is safe. It helps athletes, and so just guiding them through. Sometimes it's working through their schedules and working with them to kind of help, because they're always kind of off cycle. How do you work with them to get them recovered? But there is a little bit more risk because it is their living. But for anybody in any profession, that can be the challenge. But refractive surgery is very safe and a great procedure to help people with their activities.
Yeah, I can only imagine the response of an athlete after having that type of refractive surgery, after having dealing with contacts, after having dealing with the refractive issues, and then maybe their first game. I feel like that would be first practice. I feel like that would be a pretty great moment.
Oh, definitely. And then we see more complications with contacts. I'm more scared of contacts. People put those contacts in, you see them in basketball, they lose the contact, they lick it and put it back in their eye. That scares me to death, the amount of infections you can get from the contact. And that's a big thing in the military. Again, we get people that want to deploy with their contacts, and we have policy against it because we get these corneal ulcers. So contacts aren't without risk. And that's a big thing with when we work with the athletes, advising them, hey, don't sleep with these contacts. Get the disposables. Don't let it hit the ground and put it back in here. Bring some extra in your bag so you have it on the sidelines.
In general, how do athletes react when a team ophthalmologist comes and gives a type of screening, or what has your experience been athletes reacting to the care that you give them?
I think they're people. They're just like, and so people get excited. Oh, we've heard all about you, and so, but they're people, and they appreciate the assistance and help. So most of them, they're very excited that we're coming in to help and provide that support. They hate being dilated. I'll tell you that much. That's everybody, though. That's not just like an athlete.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everyone's just happy that we're coming in. We're providing that assistance. And you're there to help. It's just like when someone comes to physician. So obviously they don't want to be limited, or if there's some kind of injury or something that we find, sometimes people hide it so that we don't want to limit them from what they're doing. But the whole goal, on the most part, everyone's usually pretty excited to have us there. We're providing that support. You never know what kind of backgrounds people have had. Some people have never had access to eye care, right? Some backgrounds, you've just played sports, you're able to succeed, and you've worked your way up through sports. But maybe you didn't have that background where your parents took you and got eye exams every year, or you had that vision screening. And so reaching out and using this opportunity to help, I think makes a difference, and they recognize that support.
Do you mind sharing with us a memorable moment that you've had in sports ophthalmology?
Memorable moments, lots of variety of moments where they come in and people have had some kind of eye injury, and you got to comfort them. You can't give patient details. I think that's the one thing. You get excited to be with these celebrities and stars, and then you want to go tell everybody. You can't do that. You can't do that with any patient, but extremely important with athletes. So it's memorable to get these people that you see on TV, and then or they have this injury, and then they come in and just comfort them and taking a look at their eye, telling them what's going on, being able to explain, just like any patient. But I've had where it was called in late, looked at the eye, provided comfort, gave the drops, made them feel better. Next day was feeling better after the injury. So I think several memorable moments of just first you're kind of struck at times, but just having that opportunity to say, hey, it's a person. I don't, you don't get all excited. Hey, you need to sign this. No. You treat them like another person, and just having the opportunity to help. And then you get to watch them on TV the next week, and you're like, I made the catch now. I fixed it. It's better. So to see them back playing that sport and getting to cheer them on after you've done something to help them is memorable.
It's like you're part of the team. You're part of their support system as they go shine. That's a great thing.
Yes, that's one of the exciting parts, right? I'm like, I didn't make the team again, but I still get to most of them help you, let you feel part of that team.
Mm-hmm. You haven't gotten a slit lamp signed by an athlete yet, like.
No, I try not to. I try not to be that way. I remember when I still go back to when I was in college at Tennessee, and I walked past Peyton Manning, and my father, we're touring, and he goes, "You should go get his autograph." I'm like, no, I don't want to bother him. And I've done that. We've been at dinners where you see some. I'm like, I'm not gonna to bother them. And so they're people, and they're doing their things. And so I do have my signed Coach K basketball, which he normally doesn't sign for adults. He's very nice to kids, but he was very kind to thank me, and I was able to be part of the team. So I'm excited to have that. But for the most part, I don't bug them for any signatures or anything like that. It's just being an opportunity to help, and so I'm not chasing signatures. You treat them like people, and they'll give you the same respect.
You mentioned that you trained at Duke with Dr. Terry Kim. Are there other programs around the country that are sports related?
So Dr. Kim and his program at Duke, he really focused on the screening, and he makes it a big part of being part of Duke. And he has a really close relationship with the teams there and the coaches. So I know that's integrated well. I know other programs possibly when on the interview trail, I kind of mentioned I wanted to do this. I know Baylor, some of the staff at the Baylor program were helping out with the Texans and teams. So I'm like, could I go and help assist with that or that? So there's certain programs, but I think Duke's been the main one to really kind of be involved, that kind of add. But there's different positions at various academic centers that help out and assist with the teams. So a lot of academic centers will have some staff. You have to be careful about how much you advertise too. A lot of them are just there. You become the most competent person at what you do, and then the athletes are going to come to you because you're the expert and you know what you're doing. They want the best. You be your best at what you've learned to do, and then they're going to come to you, and then you know a little particulars. You treat them the little extra things that are involved to help care for them. But Duke's kind of been the main one. But there was Dr. Toya is out in Memphis. He kind of started the Sports Ophthalmology Society of America, and he put that society together for a couple of years. There'd be some meetings at different events, and he would bring people together and try to talk about what it means to be a team ophthalmologist and different activities like that. It was neat. Other things I've seen, the American Society of Sports Medicine and all these sports medicine groups mainly are focused on cardiology, orthopedics, other stuff in medicine. But when I did go, it was a lot of focus on being a team physician was mainly for soccer, right? Because it's most of the world cares about soccer. And when you're submitting for a lot of these journals, they say, okay, that's great, you studied basketball, but we all care about soccer. Now, basketball is improving in popularity, but around the world, the main one is soccer, and so that's what a lot of the talk is. So if you're looking for projects, look for different soccer projects.
And currently, you're a member of the American Society of Ophthalmic Trauma. Is that
Correct. I've
right?
been very fortunate. I will put a plug in for our Society of Ophthalmic Trauma. Grant Justin, one of our residents, really brought together the world experts in trauma. Amazingly, as a resident, just kind of united the group and said, hey, let's come together. And it's an amazing group of those experts that study ocular trauma. And what important for us in the military, one of our primary functions in the military is really ocular trauma. As a military ophthalmologist, I need to be able to take care of ocular trauma, deploy downrange, and manage that. So it's very important. All our ophthalmologists in the military, we learn ocular trauma. Secondary, we do a lot of refractive surgery. So it does match well with sports ophthalmology. But the American Society of Ophthalmic Trauma has part of it, it's all about looking at trauma, which happens in sports. And so at the AAO meeting this coming up this fall, they will have a session on sports ophthalmology and the trauma related to sports ocular injuries. So they're putting together that. And we have a kind of a subgroup looking at different sports ophthalmology stuff through the society. So recommend anybody interested in ophthalmology, ocular trauma, reach out to the group. It's really a way to just people sharing knowledge. There's not that much. Certain things there's more money in. Ocular trauma, there's not really money in. It's more of you just want to care and help people's eyes to make a difference.
So, Dr. Legault, where do you see the field of sports ophthalmology going in the future?
Great question. I think one is to make sure that we're providing excellent care for ocular trauma. So all becoming more competent with it. The challenge we're having is many ophthalmologists love what they do during the day. They do a lot of surgery, they do a lot of procedures clinic, but not as many are keeping up with their ocular trauma skills and managing ocular trauma. So as ophthalmology, I think we need to continue to maintain our competence to be able to manage ocular trauma and be able to do that to help athletes. So one is help with ocular trauma. I think we continue to look at the advances in technology with our refractive surgery. There's so many different refractive surgery options. How do we continue to get better and better where we do it safer? The procedure heals quickly and we get them back in the game. So one is ocular trauma, finding ways to improve our ocular trauma. And even there's ways, I was at a meeting last week of different ways, trauma to the ocular nerve. Is there some medicine we can inject or help prevent damage to the optic nerve, or you take some medicine to do that? Or is there a foam? There's different foams out there. You put a foam over the eye to help kind of seal the eye if there's any trauma. So looking at ways to improve our ocular trauma. We're doing that within the military, but also applies to sports. And then refractive surgery, and just continue to excel and get better and better at our refractive surgery. And then this is overlap a lot with optometry, but sports vision, and how do we give people those advantages with their eyes? And so that there's difference of how do we improve that vision from 2020 to 2010. Some people, you'll see stories about people who wear contacts to get to 2010, just any little advantage to get them, or do eye muscle training. There's different devices out there. We've tested a lot of them to see, does it help my eyes? There's different debates on sports vision. It likely doesn't hurt. Does it help? There's not much evidence to show how beneficial some of that is. People get better at the test. So they take the test, they get better at the test. So the results may look better, but how do we show that actually correlates to them hitting the baseball better, shooting the basket better, whatever sport they're playing? Is they're showing stats from their game based on, I did this training on my eyes and now I have it. So athletes starts at young ages now. It's every little advantage you can get for your kids, people look for. So how do we see ways to kind of train the eyes, make them better, and help them so that they can do well at sports?
It's exciting. What are some of the challenges that you see the field of sports ophthalmology facing?
Some of the one is you just always make sure that it's HIPAA and the information is secure. So it was so much with social media now, you can camera everyone, pulls things out, but you have to keep the information secure. this is with every patient, but especially with the athletes, there's legal considerations, there's financial considerations. When you're working with these high school, college athletes, if they have an eye injury that you disclose, it could throw off their draft selection. It could cost them millions. It costs them their career. So very important, John, is to make sure you keep the information secure. You keep everything private. You're not out there telling the world because you're all excited. You took care of an athlete and they have this injury that. So I think that's one of the big challenges. One of the challenges in the ophthalmology eye care in general is all people needing glasses and refractive error. Their eyes keep getting worse and worse. We different theories of why that happens. Maybe too near work, maybe a lot of inside work outside UV light. But how do we prevent myopia progression? And there's different ways with drops and with contacts that people are coming up with. So different ways to help with that, improve the vision. But a lot of it more is just the privacy, and then how quickly we can access to care and make sure they can get care with an ophthalmologist in a timely manner.
What advice would you have for trainees interested in getting involved with sports
One is
ophthalmology?
just be extremely competent at what you do. You got to learn your art, your craft, whatever specialty. I love ophthalmology, so we're biased definitely, but learn that craft, be that expert, and have that knowledge. No one wants to come to you. Not going to come to you, no athlete, any patient, if you don't. So be extremely competent, and then understand the nuances in sports or with whatever team you want to help. Understand and take care of them. Be available for them. And just learn from other people that have taken care of teams that what are the unique things related to sports and ophthalmology, and then just be excited about it. Cheer on the team, and just be there and excited and available for them.
It's great. We've talked a lot about refractive surgery. Do you see a lot of the other subspecialties of ophthalmology being involved as a team ophthalmologist? Maybe retina or general ophthalmology?
Yeah,
What's
definitely.
that?
Comprehensive ophthalmology, cornea, refractive surgery is the big one because of the refractive surgery. But even our comprehensive ophthalmologist, you typically went within our group with a sports op. It was typically more refractive surgery, cornea guys, and then actually neuro ophthalmology. So some of the neuro stuff, especially when you start talking about concussions, TBI, looking at that. So there, if you glaucoma, it involves, especially with the boxers and mixed martial arts. But usually it was more kind of anterior segment. And then retina, especially important with retina. We need the retina are there more when they've had pretty traumatic injuries. And so we definitely needed, I don't know how excited they are to kind of just be basic, but they're always standing by, and we definitely need them. You'll see that when there are a lot of boxers that have retinal detachments, and even sadly go back to fight, and they'll have multiple retinal detachments. I talk about, like, Sugar Ray Leonard in the book talks about how you got retinal detachment and fixed it, and he went back to boxing, which scares us. And Sugar Ray Seals, I think he won the gold Olympic in '72. Was same thing. Get hit in the eye, he was back to boxing again, and a lot of them have multiple retinal detachments. So, but mainly cornea and then neuro ophthalmology with the concussions. Is a way to tell if people had concussions with pupil testing, things like that. How do we look at their eyes and be able to tell?
So for most teams, would you say that it's a group of physicians taking care of them, or maybe an institution-wide come together and take care of a team, or is it maybe just one team ophthalmologist that will follow
It's
along and be
definitely a
on call for
mix,
them?
and you'll see a variety of things. Sometimes it's just the one team guy, but a lot of times it is a group or a few guys get together and offer that support, because it's busy. Athletes are busy, busy schedule. If they want someone actually at the game, some people need that and others don't as much. I want someone at the game, then you kind of take turns and help out each other. You're not always available. So typically a team effort. You will see sometimes teams work with a different group or ophthalmologist, and then some of it's a little marketing. So you will see teams that basically the ophthalmologist kind of buys the marketing, and then in trade takes care of the team, and then gets their name on the screen and all over. So there's some of those agreements too. So sometimes they're looking for different marketing deals, and some of the ophthalmologists actually pay to basically become that team doctor. So you will see that kind of model too. So variety, but a lot of it is volunteers, or sometimes often you're not paid, you're just volunteering, and then often you charge something for some of your service and stuff. But there's kind of a mix of how you support.
Interesting. All right, Dr. Legault, thank you for joining us today. I have to ask, before we go, what is your favorite sport or sports team?
I love all sports. I've started really liking soccer. I've been having fun watching my daughter play, refereeing soccer, and joining the rest of the world to start liking soccer. So it's become one of the favorites. I love to ski and run as well. Sports teams, I've got one for almost every sport, so I could be here all day. But I'm in San Antonio. I love the San Antonio Spurs. So basketball, San Antonio Spurs, Houston Astros for baseball, and then Duke basketball for college, and Tennessee Volunteer football. So every sport I've got a team. But when you jump from team to team, I start liking whatever team I'm helping too. So just love to watch sports and watch athletes compete.
Thanks,
you. Jared.
Thank you for listening to Sports Ophthalmology. To stay connected and learn more, you can find us on Twitter, YouTube, and at our website, sportsophthalmology.com.